All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is our first episode of Curious Success. We are excited to actually be taking on this project. Um, it's pretty much was established with four individuals. Myself, my name is Rasheen Palmer, and my partners are Noriko, John, and Simba. And pretty much we are looking to bring to a bigger audience what Curious Success is about, and that is looking to connect people from all walks of life in a universal dialogue that focuses on various life topics that can lead to one's enrichment of character and further life progressions. At the end of the day, we are champion the provocation, excuse me, of insightful thoughts. But nevertheless, we are looking to bring to a wider audience, some of the serious life topics that we feel would be good to have a conversation about. And no one's claiming to be experts here. We just pretty much sharing our personal experiences and opinions based on how we live our lives. So I would just like our guests to briefly introduce themselves. We have Jennifer and David. So David, if you can just introduce yourself briefly and give us some background.
What's up, everybody? My name is David. I'm from Flowers Projects in the South Bronx, New York.
And what is your background in terms of how, excuse me, today's session or episode, excuse me, is going to be focused on baby mama, baby daddy, what is your worth, or child mother, child father, what is your worth? So
We got more than one episode for this?
right now it's just episode one. So pretty much, just explain like just your situation in terms of you being a father, and like if you're married, single, what's that going on with that?
I am a single father of a beautiful daughter. She's 20 months old. My little angel, Jalea, is my pride and joy. I'm a single father, a newly single father, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, Jen, would you like to?
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I'm 29 from the Bronx, Riverdale section. I'm engaged to the father of my child. I have a 3-year-old boy. His name is Avery. He's autistic. I love him to death. He means everything to me. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm a student. That's what it is. That's it.
Okay, great. So what it's pretty much is going to happen is I'm going to ask you some questions and get your feedback on some of these questions, of all of the questions, excuse me. So the first question is, and one at a time, of course, how did you meet your partner?
Well, I met Manuel at his family cookout. I was friends with his cousin's wife, actually. And that's where I met him at. And he pursued me, took me out on a bunch of dates, and I led from there.
Okay. David?
I met my child's mother I met Jamia through, honestly, some mutual friends. Like, we had a lot of the same friends. We never really crossed paths, but we had a lot of the same friends. And, like, during one of our get-togethers, I just had my eye on her. And it was just something about her that I was attracted to. So I was just telling all my friends, like, you got to introduce me to that girl. And I was on her for a while before I got her. She made me wait.
Okay. Who were your role models, and what was your support network like?
Well, my role models, as far as like TV that people would recognize, I like Oprah. I respect Michelle Obama. I love Jay-Z's ambition, where he came from and where he's at now. I love Nas because I think he's very intellectual and spiritual, and people like that, like role models and positive.
What about family?
As far as family, I would say my mother, because she was a single parent raising 4 children on her own, and she used to make something out of nothing. So I look up to her a lot. Mm-hmm. And she's very supportive, and she helps me a lot with Avery.
Okay. What about you?
As far as role models are concerned, I would have to say probably like sports stars that I like to watch, like Floyd Mayweather, LeBron James. Like I respect where they came from and how they grinded from nothing and became basically to the top of their sport. Like I respect the hustle that everybody puts in, And
What about family and friends?
family and friends, I would, well, the
And then
only,
the question is, it says, is role models and what is your support network, pretty much.
yeah, my role models and support network, as far as support network, as far as family, it will always have to be my mother and my grandmother because they the two women who raised me since I was young. And without them, I probably wouldn't be the man I am today. I'm very thankful for my mother and my grandmother.
Okay. All right. So the next question is, do you believe in partnerships and two household incomes?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And why is that?
Well, two incomes are better than one.
Yes, it is.
Okay. What about you, David?
I believe in partnership. I believe a strong partnership is a good foundation for a child to grow up under instead of like single homes like I was forced to grow up in. I rather a two family household rather than than a single parent household.
So two-parent household.
Yeah, two parent household.
Okay. So just to backtrack, on the decision that was made. So this is getting down to the nitty gritty. All right, you with your partners, or the significant other. What was the reason behind you deciding to have a child with that person?
Well, I'll say for me, I felt like he was the right person. It was the right time. Not financially, we weren't all the way there, but he's very responsible more than any guy I've ever dated. And I knew that he really, really did love me. So that's why I decided to have a kid with him.
You,
Um,
David. Sorry.
um, I, I don't know. It's kind of a tricky question because it just kind of just like I don't want to say it just happened, but it kind of just happened just because we were spending all this time together and we was always around each other. Like it wasn't something that was planned. Like I didn't plan to say like we're gonna have a baby at this point in time, but it was just one of them things that just happened.
Okay. And I'm going to the next question. Do you intend to get married? And this is more, I guess, directed to you, David,
Married.
because we know Jennifer's engaged.
I mean, marriage. I'm always open minded to marriage, but I'm not really looking for marriage. I'm not gonna say I'm not looking for a wife. I'm like if it happens, it happens. But that's not something I'm looking for. I'm always open minded, but I'm not looking for anything.
Okay.
And just to jump on that, I totally believe in the 10-year engagement because there's no reason to rush into walking down the aisle. You know, take your time.
10 years?
Yeah, 10 years. That's enough to get a bachelor's, a master's, a
For
couple
me,
of
I
things
feel
going.
like before you can get married, you have to see if you can live with that person
Yeah,
first.
exactly.
Yeah. There's definitely steps that you need to go through. I think for anyone, it's like understanding what the courtship is really about. Some people don't understand there's rules of engagement. It's like,
Yes.
but a lot of
There's
times
levels to it, as they
we get
say.
excited, with the other person, and then we just, get, all caught up in the sex and spending time with that person, and then it's like things
Right.
happen, and then next thing you know, you speeded up the process, and you was like, oh shoot.
It just blows on
Got a
up.
baby. Yeah, that's usually how it happens.
All right, so was it your choice to have unprotected sex?
I think, yeah, it was both our choice. We're both adults. We're both conscious. We're both responsible.
Now, this is a follow up to that, which I want you to answer to as well, Dave. With the first question is, okay, you both chose to do that.
Yes.
Was there a certain time period where you were doing it before you was like, okay, like you was just doing it, or was it a time it's like, you know what, we want to have a child, we planning to have a child, so now let's have unprotected sex?
Well, we just started to have unprotected sex, and it's not that we planned it. Like we're gonna have a child. Today is the day I'm ovulating. It's time to do it. That's not how it happened.
Okay.
I got pregnant, and he wanted to keep it, and I wanted to keep it, and that was my first time being pregnant. My first and only time I was pregnant, and we decided to keep the child.
Okay. David?
Following up what Jennifer said, the whole, it wasn't really something that we talked about. It was the whole unprotected sex thing. It just kind of happened. Like, I don't know.
In the
Like
heat of the moment?
Yeah, just in the heat of the moment. It was like nobody was gonna stop and be like, hold on, where's a condom? Like it just didn't happen like that. Even though it should have, it didn't.
Okay.
And
Just the follow-up question was, well, you pretty much answered it. I think, you answered it. You answered both questions.
okay, cool.
All right. Were you consuming drugs or alcohol at the time of conception?
Well, let's jump 4 years back. But drugs, no, I don't do drugs. He definitely doesn't do drugs. And he doesn't even really drink that much. So I'll probably say no. If we did, it was probably a little buzz, but I don't think so, no.
Were you drinking?
You know I drink sometimes. It depends. I gotta.
Did you have a little taste?
Yeah, but I knew what I was doing. I'm not gonna, blame alcohol or anything like that.
Okay.
So I fully knew what I was doing. And so
And what about you, David?
Yes, we was partying. We just
having a
to be
good old
partying.
time.
We was having a good time. Hanging out. We was chilling.
And why do you think I asked that question?
Because you want to see we were responsible when we got pregnant or when we conceived?
Part of, but also that could be one of the leading issues to why something like that happens. Like people end up having a baby.
Yeah,
when
I'm not gonna say it's not because
and
of
they
the
having
alcohol.
unprotected sex, and then that could be one of the results of not being cautious or aware because you're caught up in the moment and you're not fully conscious because you're under influence of
I
some
could never
drug
understand
or
how
alcohol.
people. Excuse me. I could never understand how people say that they wasn't planning to have a baby while they was having unprotected sex. Like it had to be some type of plan in there that you could become pregnant. It is.
Yeah,
It's
for
always
everything.
that if in the middle of life that you could become pregnant or become a father if you're having unprotected sex.
Okay. Did any relatives or friends warn you about this relationship you had?
Oh, my mother. She's like, what does he want? Is he up to something? I don't know about this. It's too good to be true. Now she loves him. She defends him. No,
Okay.
you better be nice. So.
What about you, David?
Well, all of that, I say I would have to say that came from my child's mother's mother. She was like, "Oh, what do you see in this guy? He's nothing but a street dude, always running around, hanging out in the streets. You need to get you a nice schoolboy." So I was getting but over time we built a little rapport, and now we have our own relationship.
Do you plan on living the remainder of your life through your kids?
I wouldn't phrase it like that. I would say, as your kids grow up, are you gonna focus? I guess you have to focus on them because you have to be a good parent. But are you gonna say, oh, well, I wanted to do this in life, so but
Okay, I get what you mean.
yeah, but since you came along, now I gotta. Now you got to take that, you got to take that goal on as your own, like that kind of thing.
Does that make sense? By the way, that was John. That was John chiming in. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
this
I
is John.
understand the question, and I don't feel like my son stopped me from doing anything. I think it maybe prolonged it, but I don't have any regrets with my decision, and he just makes me more ambitious to want to finish what I'm doing, and I want the best for him. I put him in school when he was already 1 year old. My kid could tell you his address and everything. He's only 3.
Okay.
I don't plan on living my life through my child, but I plan on being a permanent fixture in my child's life to make sure that I'm there to guide her. When she gets old enough to start making decisions for herself. Like I wanna be that, be a guardian, kind of like my father wasn't for me. Like I wanna be able to not tell her right from wrong, but allow her to make her own decisions and be there to help her through it, whether it was the right decision or wrong decision. I don't feel like that's living through your kids, but you wanna be a part of your child's life, moving forward.
Okay, so I have a follow-up question, and it is: was there any point when your child was born that you felt like now you're putting your life on hold?
No, I don't feel like I'm putting it on hold. Sometimes it does become overwhelming because I'm running between work and my internship and other organizations that I volunteer at, and I have to go pick them up at a certain time, so I have to cut this short. But when I go home and I just like have that time with him, it makes it all worthwhile. So, no, I'll give it all up for him. But
Another quick question to follow up on that. I'm piggybacking off questions, but David, did you feel that way before we go to the next question?
No. I actually felt like probably like it was kind of unexpected, but then when it did happen, it was kind of like I thought about it as kind of a blessing in disguise because my life was just it was full of drama. So when I had my child, it kind of made me take a step back and kind of reflect on the life I was living and made me want to change and gave me motivation to change and become a better man for my child.
Okay. In your opinion, how do you feel about parents who just don't have, maybe it's just not the level of maturity to be good parents, and it's like if they are young parents, they want to just go out and not be with their child, like put them off on someone else, so someone else is taking care of them while they out in the streets partying, BSing, or bullshitting, whatever they're doing. But how do you feel about that?
I think it's a sad situation, and I just hope they have a strong support system to help them because once you have a kid, you need to grow up. That's it. There's no more playing around. If, once in a while you need your freedom, that's understandable, but 90% of your time should be dedicated to your kid.
Yeah.
Me that type of situation it's disgusting. Like I feel like once you have a child, your life is no longer about you anymore. You no longer make decisions for yourself. Your decision is all of your decisions. Your next decisions in life is about your child first, and then you. So, and I know people like that who like to drop their baby off for other people so they could go out and hang out. But I don't like it at all. I feel like that's irresponsible.
Okay. Can you give an approximate of your monthly expenses? Did you budget before having a child?
Before I had a child?
Let's just say that, for example, you have this amount of money left, after you pay the bills and stuff, you could like use it to, party and like go out, do whatever you want. Like how much, how has having a child impacted that? Has it like completely just,
I don't really think it's impacted that much because I buy my son his clothes seasonal, and he's into sports, so I put him in the sports. It's probably like $1,000 for the season, and I wouldn't say it was a big expense. Maybe if I had a girl, she'd be more expensive because they have like really cute stuff. But boys, he's still small, so his sneakers don't cost that much. So I don't see he's potty trained too. So, but when the diapers were around, yeah, it got expensive in the formula.
So did you budget before having your son?
Listen, when before I had my son, I was young. I had Louis Vuitton and all that stuff. I don't have Louis Vuitton now.
So before you weren't really paying attention to your budget, but you paid more attention to your budget and
yeah, now
practicing
I
it
pay
now.
more attention to it because now I have bigger responsibilities, and his baseball team got to get paid and his school got to get paid, but it's not a big difference. Not for what the joy he brings me in. It's not. It's chump change.
Okay, David.
As far as my monthly expenses, I'm not gonna say, like I never budgeted. I never really had the budget before, but I'm gonna say that my expenses did change having a child. Like I actually started. I say around the time my child mother was about six months pregnant. That's when I really started to really change my expenses, and I started because I used to just buy food, clothes, sneakers for myself, but then the expenses became food, clothes for the baby, sneakers, milk, Pampers, wipes, just etc. Everything that your child needs, toys. So it doesn't really change much, but I mean it changes your expenses a little bit, but
Okay, that's fine. So the next question is, what did you feel or think when you found out about the pregnancy?
At first, I was happy that I was pregnant, but I was scared because I had to tell a bunch of people. I'm like, damn, I know they're going to give me a negative response. I don't want to hear nothing negative. So it kind of delayed me for like the first 3 months to tell anybody. The first person I told was my son's father. He was happy. But telling my mother, then I had to tell my boss, and then I had to tell this person, that person. I'm like, do I have to tell all these people? But yeah, it just became like a little bit of a burden to tell other people. But after a while, they love him. They love my son. So.
But what about you?
What
After a
about me?
while, when you became comfortable with talking to people about it, like, what was the thought that came to mind? It's like, all
Well,
right, I gotta let them know.
I've always been a very private person when it comes to my personal life, so I felt like I have to. Besides my mother and my fiance, I felt like, why do I have to tell these other people? Now they're gonna be on my personal business. They're gonna be asking me all these questions. I don't want to be bothered. I just want pizza. Just leave me alone, you know.
Yeah.
And I just don't like people intrude in my personal business. That's just the way I am.
Okay. David?
Me, honestly, I thought my child's mother was joking when she told me she was pregnant, like, cause I had got it from a phone call because I happened to be at work all day, so and I wasn't able to talk on my phone. So when she called me, she like, yo, I gotta tell you something. I'm like, what's up? And she like, I'm pregnant, and I started laughing immediately. I'm like, yo, stop playing. Like, why you playing? She like, no, I'm for real. I'm like, Josh, stop playing. Like, she like, I'm serious. So, but like, I was a little nervous at first because, like, I always knew it could happen, but I just never thought it would happen to me. But I was actually more happy when I found out how happy she was that she was pregnant. Once I found out how excited she was to have a baby, it kind of, made me feel a little bit better.
Okay. So currently right now, and with your relationships you have with your partners, do you feel like that partner is holding their weight?
Yes, he helps me a lot. Like, a lot of my friends, I could see I don't want to say jealousy. I could see it a little bit though, because they're like, "Oh, I'm a single parent. You got it so good." I'm like, he's a good guy. I chose a good one. Not my fault. Make better choices. But my son's father, he helps me a lot. Like, he picks him off from school if he knows I have to go to my internship. He pushes me to be better, to finish school. He's helped me with my tuition, and he loves his kid. He tells me anytime you feel like it's too much, let me know. I'll take him. I'm like, no, you're not taking him anywhere. But yeah, I got a lot of support from my son's father.
How about you?
When it comes to my child's mother, she definitely holds her weight. She definitely does. Like, that's the one thing I have to give to her. Like, everything that we go through personally, that never affects her duty as a mother. She has been like a breath of fresh air as far as mothers are concerned, because she is a great mother, and this is both of our first child, and being that we had them so young, it was kind of like we didn't know what to expect. But judging just strictly off of her, she's a great mom. She definitely holds her weight.
Okay. So now that you have a child, in terms of contraception, does the condom stay off or does it go back on?
The condoms definitely go back on.
Did I tell you about pride and personal business?
You know the answer now.
So was that stays off?
We have our moments.
Oh, okay. I think this question is more directed towards you, David, because you're single now. Is there a weakness in ability to be a good parent or an ability to maintain a relationship that you had with your child's mother?
Repeat the question, please.
So is there a weakness for you to be a good parent in that situation, or was it more the inability to maintain a relationship that you had with her? In terms of that you're not together now.
So
but
like
you
the
were together.
So like the reason, like, because some of them some parents break up because they're like, there's something going on with us. It's not going to work out, but we still love the kid, or is it that she didn't like the way you were like fathering the parent at times? Because sometimes that will
it could be some pressure to that.
Yeah, I
the fact
understand
of
what
you
you're
being a
saying.
parent and even parent for the first time or whatever is just like it's pressure to that. And some people can manage that pressure. Some people feel like this is really not for them, and sometimes that'll probably happen more with pregnancies that occur based on not being planned.
Yeah. Nah, I would have to say no. Like, our relationship, like my relationship with my child's mother and my relationship with my child, I keep them completely separated. So like we are not together because of problems between us that we just couldn't come to a common ground. So we figured it'd be healthier if we both, what I'm saying, go our separate ways, but we still do the co-parent thing. Like I said, she's a great mother. I try out my way every day to be a better father every day, but I try not to mix our relationship with the relationship with our child. Like they completely different.
Do you live day by day or do you plan ahead?
I would say both. I definitely plan ahead because I have a lot of vacation time and I have a lot of things I want to do with myself. But sometimes my check says hold up. So so I would say both. But I have a lot of things I'm planning to do with my life and finish school, my master's in social work, and there's things that I want to achieve. So I do definitely plan ahead. I plan on buying a house in the future when I finish school. But sometimes I have to plan day by day, the task for the day, what's going to get cooked for the day, what bills need to get paid today before, I get kicked out tomorrow. And, yeah.
Okay.
I would have to agree with her. It's a little bit of both because, every day you got to live day by day, but I also live by, I always plan ahead. Like I live by a little 5-year plan, and I always set like short-term goals for myself to accomplish, whether it's personal goals or just goals as a parent or just whatever. So I say it's a little bit of both. I live day by day, but I also plan far ahead too.
Okay. Is any of your income right now government supported?
Such as what?
You receiving benefits,
No.
food stamps, anything like that?
No.
I wish.
Yeah, I wish to. I get some help a little bit with my school, but not that much. I still have to pay half of it.
Okay.
Everything comes out of pocket.
Are you aware with PTSD?
No.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Oh, okay, yes.
All right. So, was there some form of post-traumatic stress disorder from deciding to have this child with that person then and realizing it wouldn't work? Like, were you thinking, like, was there anything that came to mind, like, that was questionable that I had you, like, second guess, especially if there was, like, any issues or, that came after the fact that might have challenged you, and made you feel like, damn, what the hell is going on? Like, what am I actually getting into right now?
No. But I did lack sleep. And that's about it. No post-traumatic, no.
Okay.
Yeah, me neither. I don't. No. Answers no.
Okay. Was the question clear though?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
clear.
Okay. That pretty much is most of the questions.
Except number 22.
I was just laughing at
Who's
that.
jumping questions?
If they know anybody,
So I guess the question is more in terms of if you know anyone who I guess we can say
I see Ratchet here.
have a certain degree of ratchetness, and they, initially they had one child, and then it's like now the rest of the children that they might have are by mistake.
I know a few people like that, actually.
It's like they keep having children, and they're just not really concerned with the fact that they don't have their lives in order.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I know
yeah.
somebody like that.
Yeah. Do you want me to
Please
elaborate?
share a little bit, please.
I actually know someone that has, like, I think 6 different children by 6 different fathers.
More clots.
And and she tends to favor the children that she gets along with the father, and then the other ones she mistreats them.
Wow.
So it's a really sad situation, but I think that person has mental problems and probably some personality disorder going on in there. But I know other people that live off the system and just have kids to continue living off the system, and they are happy about it. Like, yeah, I can get away with this and that, but not telling anyone to do anything productive with their life. And I know people that have only one child and scream and curse and don't know how to correctly discipline their child. I guess it's correct to them because they're like, oh, that's my child. I'll say whatever or do whatever. But they gotta understand they live in the U.S. There's a certain way things work. You cannot just be hitting and cursing at your kid. Your child does not understand what the F word means or what the B word means. Like, you have to teach them how to behave a certain way, and it doesn't work with you yelling and screaming at them.
Okay.
Yeah, I unfortunately happen to know somebody like that too. That has two children actually, but spends a lot more time wanting to party and drink and smoke than spending time with the kids. Like, I mean, the family, like we the family, and we spend more time with the child than that person does. And I really think it's sad because once you have a child, like it's time to buckle down and become a responsible adult. But a lot of people have a hard time making that adjustment, and it usually takes like unfortunately, it's kind of sometimes it takes like a bad experience or something like that to really give them that wake up call, like, oh, it's really time to buckle down. So I know a person with degree of ratchetness that's really high and it shouldn't be.
A grade.
For real.
Okay. So now we are going to switch into our next segment, which is called reactions. And now we're going to be hearing a little bit more from John as he has taken notes during the process of the questions that I asked you all. So, John, please feel free to chime in.
All right, so I think you're gonna be a little disappointed because I mean, you know, Jennifer and David, when we were thinking about this episode, you know, and thinking about interviewing people, you know, and I was thinking when Jen was talking about this, we were probably thinking about interviewing possibly one of the people she knows who who are kind of in that situation. This is good though, but in terms of reactions, I guess the only one I have is so when you're like surrounded by people like this who are like irresponsible and stuff like that. I mean, I know you said that, you know, you had good role models, you know, with your mother and your grandmother, and you know, is it that because I guess for this episode we're trying to get to the bottom of, you know, what makes one person do the right thing and one person just like, you know, just keep messing up.
So that's a question directed towards Jennifer.
Both.
And David. Okay, Jennifer, you can answer first.
What makes a person do the wrong thing when it comes to their child? Well, I guess it has to do something within themselves, maybe with their self-esteem. Maybe they feel like they couldn't do better or provide better or be better. And maybe it's their mental state because we just don't personally know what's going on in their head. And maybe they're living their second childhood. I don't know.
I think sometimes it may have something to do with maybe the way that person was raised. Like maybe it's something that they wasn't getting, that maybe they don't know how to step up and become that responsible person for their child. Like it all depends on the person individually. Like me personally, like I came up with a strong structure. You know what I'm saying, even my father was taking care of kids that wasn't his, so it was just always embedded in me. Like if you were gonna have a child, you got to take care of your responsibilities. Like my father raised 6 kids that wasn't his, so it was just always in me. So it's like Jennifer said, it's usually inside that person's way of thinking, the way I guess the way they was brought up.
Okay. I have a piggyback for that question as well. So do you take on some form of responsibility when it's a close friend or family that's, I guess, showing this high level of irresponsibility, and they are a parent or a new parent?
Well, if it's someone close to me, I would bring it to their attention. And if they don't want to change, that's really on them. Sometimes I could take the kid with me out with my kid, and he could see a different environment, depending on how old the kid is, and just speak to the parent and see if they're willing to change. But some people are so stuck in their ways, so all I could do is just try to enlighten them.
Okay. Yeah, the same thing. Like I try, like when I'm speaking from experience with the person I was speaking about. Like, I try to do as much as I can, like, as far as talking to the person, trying to share with them some of my experiences of being a parent, and really show them that it's really not a game. But I just try to, try to extend as much of a helping hand as I could, like try to be there for the child, or try to, help the parent out as much as I could, like whether it's giving advice, whether it's actually helping physically, or just, there's anything I could do to make the situation better.
Okay. Well, my nephew is a young parent. He is 26 right now. He had his son, Nas. Um, um, I believe that's his name.
Nazir.
No, it is. But he had his son when he just came home from being incarcerated. I had a conversation with him like, you just coming home. Do not think you a porno star. Take time and just make sure you wrap it up, because you don't have anything in order. You didn't have a job, anything like that. But he thought he was a porno star, and he decided to have sex unprotected, and his girlfriend ended up getting pregnant. He doesn't have the best relationship with her right now. He's down here in the city now, and he's not even with his son. But he is working. So that's one thing that I know that he's doing. And he's making sure that money's being sent and so forth. But it's like he hasn't really been around his child enough. And this is a vital time for him to be around his child, not be away from his child. And I think with him, it was just really understanding that he has this responsibility, which he has still not really been fully able to grasp. That it doesn't mean that you just be the person that brings money to the table, but you got to bring everything else, and I think that's one thing that he's having an issue struggling with, being able to understand that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people get that mixed up, confused, or whatever the case may be, thinking that being a parent is about spending money and just buying things. And I was actually one of those type of parents, like in the beginning, because I was new to the whole fatherhood thing. So I'm thinking, like, as long as I'm buying stuff, food, Pampers, wipes, milk, sock, whatever she may need, I thought that was being a good father. But it took like some excuse me, some stern talking to from older siblings and my parents and my grandparents to let me know that it's not just about the money, it's the time you put in. Basically it's really the time you put in, that time and the effort you take into being a better parent every day. Like, it's more than just finances. It's, what I'm saying, it's the care, it's everything. It's just so much more than finances to being a parent.
Do you have an opinion on people who you notice do not have children and choose not to?
Well, I notice a lot of people that don't have children. They're like, "Oh, your son is so cute. I'll babysit him for 2 hours and I'll give him back." And like, whoever said I want you to babysit my kid? But they make it seem that it's kind of easy, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, because you could come to this party. Don't worry." I'm like, "No, I just can't leave my kid behind." So they don't fully grasp that the responsibility it is to have a kid, and they don't understand the love too that you get with having a child, because they're like, "Oh, I'll never have a kid." I'm like, you don't even know what you're missing. I'm not saying to have it right now, but like to deny yourself a love like that is unconditional because you scared of all the responsibilities it's gonna bring with you. To me, it's just like you're denying yourself something big.
Okay.
I mean, I don't feel no type of way really, because being a parent isn't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a lot of parents out here who shouldn't be parents. So I always tell them, like, it's your choice. Like, at the end of the day, that's a choice you're going to have to live with, whether you have kids or not. But I don't feel no type of way. I will hopefully to encourage more people who shouldn't be parents and not have kids. And, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather you not have a child and want one than have a child and, not take care of it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I know this is a little sensitive to some people. And I don't know if it might be sensitive to you both. But how do you feel about abortion?
Well, I never had one, and I know of a couple of people that have had abortions. I know of one person that had several abortions. And to me, it's like if you know you're so fertile, then you should like really get a contraceptive or wear a condom, because you're just messing up your body. Like I can understand they say, oh, the baby's not fully developed, and after you're getting an abortion after 5 months, the baby is developed. And what if your mother aborted you? Like you wouldn't be here getting all these abortions. So like, be more conscious of the things you do, and if you're just one of those people that's gonna run around and have sex unprotected, you have to know there's consequences. And after getting so much abortions, you're gonna mess up your insides.
Okay.
Do you find that the ones who get the abortions, they usually already have like 2 or 3 kids most times?
Well, the person I was speaking of, she didn't have any kids at the time, but I just find it to be like really irresponsible. Because if you're running back and forth getting abortions back to back, you should know like I'm very fertile. I should wear protection. I should take care of my body. But you're playing with another person's life like it's nothing, because you're like keep on getting abortions, like it doesn't mean nothing to you.
Me, I kind of have mixed feelings about the abortion thing, cause like I don't really agree with abortion, like so to say, but like in different scenarios it's different. Like for the like maybe like for example like a victim of rape or something like that, like a serious crime like that, then by no means. Like but I say mixed feelings because I feel like certain people, when people get pregnant, sometimes they don't mean to get pregnant. I'm not gonna say it's unintentional at all, because it's some type of intentions. But when it happens, a lot of people just they don't have that. They don't have the responsibility. They don't have it in them to be a parent. And I feel like a lot of people should really ask themselves that question, like, do I have what it takes to be a parent, before you actually go and have a child? Because if you look at the news and you listen to the news, like, there's a lot of stuff going on where children are being put in danger and children are being hurt and stuff like that. So that's what leads me towards abortions. But like overall, I personally don't believe in it. But if I was stuck in a situation like that where it was either have the baby or get an abortion, and I really didn't want to have the baby, I would probably tell her to get an abortion.
Well, just to go off of that, I'm not 100% against abortions, but like he said, if it's like a rape victim or something extreme, then I could understand it. But if you're just like a serial aborter and you're not taking any any actions for your responsibility, you're wrong, and that's it. Like, wrap it up.
We have a new one.
And I just think you should be responsible. You can't just keep on going to the clinic like, here, I'm here again. Like, that's your regular doctor, and that's not your PCP. Let's get it together.
Yeah, I would view them in the same light as somebody who's having like 6 kids irresponsibly. It's the same. It's, you could just use contraception. It's not that difficult.
So let me ask you this, because this is another. I would say this is probably sensitive to a lot of people as well. This question I'm about to ask, but I would like to hear your opinions on it. How do you feel about the foster care system? And this is based off of just parents being irresponsible, or they could be alcohol, substance abuse involved, drug abuse, anything like that. But that could be something that's involved that leads to children being in foster care and so forth. So, like, do you have any opinions on that?
Well, I believe that if you have a child and later on in life, like sometimes life does get heavy and people steer off and they feel like they can't take care of their child, if they can't give them off to a family member that's willing to help, then putting your child in the foster care system where they'll provide meals and shelter for them and schooling, better than you having them and knowing that you can't take care of them, it's a responsible act on their part, I believe. Because if you know that you cannot physically take care of your child or mentally, and you give them off to the state to take care of them, maybe till they're 18 or just for a little while until you get yourself together, I think it's a responsible act, because you're realizing within yourself that you're not able to handle the situation and your child deserves better.
I mean, I'm not. That's a good question, but I don't know. I guess I guess it's okay because, like Jennifer said, is certain parents that are not in a position to take care of their children, but the foster care system is kind of iffy because it's not. They don't have the They also have like foster care system like for like disciplinary reasons. Like they a lot of parents they put their kids in foster care for like disciplinary reasons. Like I guess or whatever the case may be. So I don't really know. I feel like if you have a child, that's your responsibility, and you need to take care of your own responsibility. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like if you cannot, like if you are not capable of taking care of your responsibility, then I'm saying, but
Okay. I have a follow-up question to that. All right. So if the child is put into foster care, what about the bad experience that they could have? Because there is PTSD for a child that will be in foster care and they no longer being with their parent. And then it could be a situation where they're going from home to home. They don't have a stable home that they're going through. You know, they might build a relationship maybe at one home, but then maybe they're not. And then what if they get in a home where they're being abused in some way or somehow?
Let me add a qualifier to that. So, I don't know if you heard about when the mother, I think she was on the platform of like 112th Street or something, and she pushed her kid out of the train like on the stroller, and then just kind of kept riding the train like once the doors closed. I don't know if you heard of that.
I haven't
That was a
heard.
foster parent, or that's a parent?
The real one.
You see, some kids don't. Some parents just be dumping their kids anywhere in the back of the alley, drop them off somewhere where the state will take them and watch them for a while. I can understand that you're saying that some places they're gonna place them in places that are difficult for them to transition, or there might be some underlying abuse if the system doesn't catch it, because usually they screen for all that stuff. But sometimes these parents, after a while, they're like, I mentally cannot take care of this kid, and it's better than them killing the child. At least the child has some hope. They need a good counselor too after that.
What are your thoughts, David?
um,
Do you need to repeat the question?
yeah, please.
So it's just pretty much saying like, what if it's a situation, in a child's foster care experience where they just get placed in bad homes and it's back and forth. They're not in a stable place. They're not having a chance to really build a relationship, with the foster home that they might have gone into, and they could also just be missing their parents.
Yeah, that tend to happens a lot. That tends to happens a lot in the foster care system because the foster care system is not full of a bunch of seventh heaven family members. Like they're all not like the best families in the world. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's just
It's a tough situation.
yeah. It really is tough. It's tough.
It's between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think, because I see the reports about the actual parents, treating them bad. Then you have the alternative, which is foster care system, and I'm like,
Yeah, it may not always be the best environment for the child.
yeah, I'm like, where do they go?
Yeah, it is definitely tough. It's definitely very tough. And there's a book that I'm reading right now. The author's name is Chris Beam, and she talks about the foster care system and just overall. It's a really good book so far from what I read, and it's not a fixed system. It's a broken system that they're constantly working on to try to form something to get the best solutions. Because at the end of the day, the most important person that needs to be taken care of is that child. So I forgot the name of the book, but the author's name is Chris Beam. Chris, Chris, last name is Beam, and it's a book based on foster care. And I would just look for that. Google it. But I have another question. Now, this is focusing on back to like the parents. And in terms of just your upbringing, how did you feel? Like, were there some life lessons that you took from like seeing how other parents might have, like your friends, like say for example your friends, how their parents interacted with them, or was like, did you do like comparisons, like, okay, well, my mother and father doesn't do this, but my friends' parents do this, and this is something I know I would utilize if I ever had children one day or something like that, or share with my child.
Well, me, I always go back on and look at my parents' relationship, like the relationship between my mother and my father, and I always judge my parenting off of the way their relationship was, because unfortunately, like me growing up, like my mother and father, they didn't always get along, and it was always like they was always bickering about something, and then like like me and my brothers and sisters, we ended up always getting dragged in the middle of it, and I never really liked it that. So now, like, I take that experience that I used growing up, and then I apply that to me and my child's mother. So like whenever we go through our stuff, I always let her know, like, no matter what we go through, no matter how bad, how ugly it get, it never has anything to do with the child. Like, I always try to keep our relationship separated, which is something my parents didn't do.
Okay.
Well, from my home, my mother was always very strict. There's also a schedule, and she liked her house a certain way. She didn't like company over that much, and I was like, why is she so tough? Then I grew up and noticed I became her, and yeah, I apply the same things to my kid now. I make sure that he has a certain routine because, like I said earlier, he's autistic, so they need a certain routine. So Monday through Friday, he has his routine. Saturdays is about the family. Sunday, we have Sunday dinner every Sunday. And I apply those things my mom showed me as a youth. I apply them now to my relationship with my child.
Okay. The author that I was talking about, her name is Chris Beam. So that's Chrisbeams. Well, yeah, Beams, not S. Beam. And the name of her book is To the End of June. So that's the book that I was referencing in terms of foster care. All right, cool. There was another question I had in mind, and I'm blanking on it. John, do you have any other reactions that you want to chime in on?
See, not really, because I was looking forward to not that this is not a good thing, but I was looking forward to some,
Some ratchetness.
This doesn't have to be ratchet, brother.
out of say like you know how they have 5-star rating system for like restaurants and stuff. I was looking for a 4 to 5 degrees of ratchetness.
They wanted us to come on here like we don't take care of our kids and we proud of it.
No, but more like someone that's just like kind of, I mean, you guys get it, but someone that like the people you're describing, like who they just
in between responsibility.
I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
something, John, about people like that. They're not gonna come up here and tell you I don't take care of my kid and I got 5 and I party. They're not gonna tell you that. They're gonna front like they Mother Teresa. So nobody's gonna come up here and give you that type of interview.
Because if you notice, like some of these questions are kind of like the tone of it, and that's kind of Simba's fault, but the tone of it is kind of like assuming that they would have that kind of defensive wall, and then over time they'll eventually be like, okay, you know what, I did have this error in the way I was thinking, or actually reflect, I guess, on what they've done.
I mean, if we're gonna take it there, I would honestly have to say that I'm still like going through a little adjustment period, as far as because before I had a child, like I was always running the streets, like I was always in the negative activities, gang related, all of that type of stuff. So, and sometimes like mostly in the beginning. Like in the beginning stages of me being a parent, I still had to fight with myself to, put that time in, because it was times like around certain holidays like New Year's where I would usually be on the block chilling with my homeboys, drinking, smoking. You know what I'm saying? Like last year, I was at home with my daughter, and it like the whole time before that, it was like a constant battle. Do I want to go outside and chill, or you know what I'm saying? Or I gotta be where I know I need to be, which is home with my child. So in the beginning, it was still leaning more towards being outside, but like as time started going along, and now only thing I want to do is be around my daughter in my free time. So
Yeah, I would say my son helped me a lot in the growing up process. My fiance, he always tells me, he was like, before we got together, you was always outside, not in the clubs, but I was always in some event. I was always somewhere doing something. I kind of still am, but not as extreme as I used to be because I have my son now and I make it more about events with the family and make sure he's the first priority on top of the list. So I would say he did definitely help me a lot with growing up. And before, like, I used to have such a smart mouth, and I'm like, I have to think before I say something because if I end up getting into a fight, I can get arrested, and who's gonna watch my kid, and this and that. And I always outweigh things like, all right, he's my top priority. I know this person's not that important, so let me not give them that energy because my son needs it.
That's actually important because I just saw a video recently where it was two parents fighting, and one like knocked the other one out, and like both of the kids are watching, and it's just like,
that's happened.
Where'd you
one
see
time.
this video?
It's Facebook.
Okay.
No, I've seen that one time. Not with myself, but two people I actually know. They started fist fighting over something so stupid as like a bingo game, and their two kids were there, and they were small. I think they were like 2 years old, and they were fighting on top of the kids, and the kids were like screaming. And I had to grab the kids out the way, and I'm just like, and I told them after, like, are you not disgusted with yourself? You're fighting on top of your kids, like literally on top of them, over a bingo. Like I would give you $1. Yeah.
I think regardless if David and Jennifer weren't I guess our prime candidates that had some level of ratchetness that they brought to the table. I still felt it was a good discussion to have because you are parents, and that is the biggest focus. You are parents, and you are doing right by your children, and I think that's really important, and that's something that we have to emphasize. So. Kudos to you
to
both.
us.
Yeah. I like my low degree of ratchetness.
And to be honest with you, there might be some follow-up questions we may have, or who knows? We might turn this into a second episode or something that we do down the line, because I know there was definitely some more questions that I had in mind that I'm not thinking of at this point in time. But we will definitely probably come back to that. I would like to hear what are some of your best practices.
At being a parent, best practices?
As being a parent.
Time management. That's the biggest thing. And you always need at least twice a month you time because it gets hectic and you need to woosah.
As a parent, I don't know. For me, it's just being a parent, really. Like, I just try to get better at being a parent every day because I know I might not be the best father, but I know I work hard every day to just get better and better. So that's really it for me.
Do you have a model, like something you say that you live by, like, or a positive affirmation, anything of that nature?
Well, as of recently, I started becoming a little bit more spiritual, and and I just, like, if days going bad, I say to God, like, I'm not a real religious person, but I always speak to him, and I'm just like, I thank him for the day, and I thank him for having a roof over my head, and I just know it could be worse. So I always be thankful for what I do have, and know that out of every bad outcome, something positive will come out of it. So
Yeah, pretty much the same thing with me. I always tell myself, no matter how bad it gets, it always gets greater later. So that really just keeps me going. I don't get too high or too low on everything. Everything is just what it is to me. I'm on some cross the bridge when I get there type. Like, I don't never really get too high or too low now.
What would be one piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to be a parent or a new parent?
I would say to mentally prepare yourself for it, then financially. If mostly some people are not financially ready for it, but in their hearts they're ready to be parents. So I say if you're mentally ready to have a kid and you have that support system, then go for it. You know, you just gotta have it in your heart.
I say physically, mentally, and financially prepare yourself. And I say the physically part because it's going to be them times you going to be up to a screaming baby and he or she ain't going to sleep, and you going to have to be getting up and making bottles and changing Pampers. So I always say physically, mentally, and, financially prepare yourself to have a child. And that's really it. Just prepare to have your child. Just prepare.
I just thought of another question, and this is a little bit more of a lighthearted question, but who changed the Pampers?
Who changed the Pampers? I changed the Pampers. His dad changed the Pampers. His grandma changed the Pampers.
Okay.
I'm kind of sort of working out this deal with my child's mother where I changed the pissy Pampers and she changed the doo-doo Pampers. Like, I'm trying to get it, trying to get it worked out.
You gonna put that in writing?
Yeah, we're gonna have to get a contract between us.
Have a lawyer come sit in on that. Yeah, I was curious because one of my coworkers, he just had another child, well, with a different woman, and he was just explaining like how he doesn't do the messy diaper changing, and
I don't blame him. It gets
But
messy.
the thing is, what if the mother steps out for a minute? Who's gonna change? You have to change her because she'll get a rash.
Yeah, you have to change
gotta
it,
deal
but
with
you
it.
gotta avoid it at all costs. If you can avoid the doo-doo diapers, give them right to the mother. Trust me.
Why would you avoid it?
Because, like, oh man, then when it gets real messy, then it gets all on your hands, and then you. See, my daughter, she don't like to stay still. She'll get up right in the middle of a pamper change and get up and start walking, and then she'll just be dropping it everywhere. Like, oh.
That's like one of those movie scenes except they don't show the whole thing though.
We negotiate. Like, if I did the last dirty diaper, you gotta do the next one. Sometimes it gets really messy, so you gotta prepare yourself.
Another question I want to ask y'all is, how do you conversate with your child? Do you talk to them like goo goo gaga, or
Yeah, I'm real.
or do you just talk to them regular?
Yeah, I've always been real big on that. Ever since, like, I don't never goo. I always talk to my child in complete sentences. Because when she starts to talk, I want her talking in complete sentences. I don't like the gibberish. Even when she whines, I'll be like, I don't understand you. I know she don't understand what I'm saying, but I always be like, I don't understand you. You got to talk English to me. Like, I don't like that. I don't even allow her grandmother to do it. I always say, talk to her in complete sentences.
Well, I say I do both. I address him by his name all the time, and we have conversations. But then there's times where we're playing around, I'm tickling him. That I'm like, oh, whatever little cute words, or because he's still a child, and I want him to have that childhood and know that he doesn't have to rush to grow up until I tell him to.
I had another quick question that I just thought about, and this is going back into the level of ratchetness.
Okay.
So how do you feel about parents who name their child Hennessy, Alizé, Lexus? What do you feel about that?
I think at the time when they named that child, that's probably what they wanted.
And I guess this I guess we'll find this more on maybe urban environments.
Well,
that parents are naming their child something like Kool-Aid.
not Kool-Aid. I haven't heard that one yet. Let's not be extreme. But even with my son's name, I didn't really get a great feedback or rapport, like I guess you would say, with his name, because he has a South African name. I'm Dominican, so my family was like, "You named him what? After soap?" I'm like, "No, it's not Ivory, it's Avery." And they're like, "Why would you name him that?" Oh my goodness. Now they try to pronounce it. They say Avery's. They try. But to me, his name had much more meaning to it. It means high noble one in South Africa. And I also spelled it a little bit differently with an extra E at the end, so you could say king in Spanish, right? So I didn't get the best feedback when I named him. But now when they see him, they're like, "Oh, he looks like an Avery. He's just so unique. That's his name."
But what about the
but the
parents
other
that you
righteous
hear?
names, like I don't know. When I hear LaQuisha, I'm like, that's not somebody I would hire. But she could have the best credentials. Sometimes your name is just like, that's just too much right there.
Okay.
I don't know. To me, it represents just a certain level of narrow mindedness. Like you don't it's like you don't know any other names besides the names you hear on the urban TV shows that come on every day. Like I don't know.
Would you hire Kool-Aid?
I definitely would not hire Kool-Aid.
You know what's funny? I actually read in an article the other day that this guy, he was applying to many jobs in a day, like 100 jobs a day, and nobody would call him back. And he dropped the S in his name because his name was Jose, and he left it to Joe, and he got all these callbacks for jobs. So a name really does make you, and people do judge you by your name. Well, and in terms into that article, it was a little bit racist, I guess. Yeah. But when you have an extreme ratchet project like Sewer Rat kind of type of name going on,
Sharkeisha,
like Sharkeisha and all this other stuff, like you made up with I don't know what's going on, but you're not really thinking that much of your child's future because they do have to apply to jobs and they do have to be called their name out. It's LaKeisha here, you know. It's like don't do that. So, I'm not saying they have to have a normal name, but at least not something that's gonna sound like crazy. Like
newsflash, new parents, Starquasia and Bone Kwee are not getting jobs in the real world. They're not.
Yeah,
nobody's gonna hire them.
Don't make it sound like a rap song. No.
Oh man. I mean, but think about it. If Jose is like, isn't it? It's literally Joe in Spanish, almost.
Yeah, I said, I guess there was like a racism.
Yeah.
Because that Jose is a regular name.
Yeah.
Like, how many people name Jose? So that would just be a racism. That's not, to me, it's not a ghetto name. It's part of the Hispanic culture. It's part of their name. But they didn't make up Jose out of the thin air. It's been around for like centuries.
Okay. One more question. I feel like all of them will start coming in my head now. What's your opinion on the music? Or, social media or whatever, like some form of media, like it could be TV, like the TV shows, the music that you might have loved. You might have loved, hearing them, I don't know, make it clap. I don't know, some type of music that, that was your music, but do you feel like now certain things you watch and listen to have changed in terms of now that you around your child, you don't want them to have access to that or be hearing that type of stuff? Or is it you listen to it, but then you explaining like this is what they mean by clap the burner or something? I don't know anything crazy. So
you know what's funny? I guess the generation before us used to say that about us, about our music. But the other day I was driving my brother-in-law in my car, and he's a teenager. He's like about 17, and I was playing Illmatic, which is one of my favorite albums from Nas.
Classic.
And he was like, "Oh, you listening to this garbage? What is this?" I was like, "Oh, hold up." I had to explain to him. I'm like, maybe you don't understand it because it's from a different genre, but this is more intellectual. Like, you really have to sit back and think about what he's saying on a deeper level. As far as your music now, I have no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's just like these words you make up that make no type of sense. And there's no like thought process to it. It's just, I feel like I'm dumbing myself down listening to this music. And it's just, to me, it's just sad.
Well, I'm just glad that I didn't cross that bridge yet. My daughter is still listening to Doc McStuffins and Sophia the First and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse songs. So, as far as the music I listen to, I don't know. Maybe I'm still young. I'm only 24 myself, so I still listen to it. I try not to like play a lot of the music that I listen to around my child, but for the most part, I still listen to the same music. I don't really much change around me.
My son, he loves Thomas the Train, so he knows all those songs, those little nursery songs. But I think he knows who Nas is too, because he hears me playing it. But he knows not to say certain words, and I think you just have to train them and let them know, because they will be exposed to it sooner or later. It might not be you teaching your kid yourself, but them at school or their daycare or their environment, they're going to know sooner or later what this means or that means, or, oh, that kid is cool, look what they're doing, what they're saying, and you got to teach them how to be their own individual.
I have another question. Sorry, y'all. So,
keep them coming.
Being that you both are minorities, do you feel it's harder to be a parent as a minority than otherwise?
I think as a minority, you have to like push yourself a little bit more than if you were the part of the majority, because you want your child to be successful and you want to teach your child that, look, mommy's successful, daddy's successful, and they pushed themselves to be there, so I could do it. Like if they could do it, I could do it, and I could achieve anything.
Okay.
Me, I feel like it's not easy for anyone to be a parent. Like minority, majority, it's just being a parent is just not easy. It's just something that I'm saying you just have to do, and you're gonna get better as you go along. But I mean, I feel like we do have to maybe push a little bit harder. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like I had to be like pushed a little. Sometimes I still gotta get the little kick in the behind, you know what I'm saying, to keep my focus, to make sure I don't slack off. So, but I don't think that makes it harder. I just think it's just all about the effort you gotta put into it. You gotta just, you know what I'm saying, take the extra initiative, take. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, but then take the extra step, like go the extra mile to push your child to be better than you.
Okay. John, you have any other questions?
I guess, do you, David, do you have any concerns, seeing as you have a daughter, do you have any concerns about, certain things you want to make sure that, you protect her from?
Yes, I do. Yo, these young females, this generation is just out of control, and I just want to fight tooth and nail to make sure I bring my daughter up around the right structure, because I don't, like, the females of this generation, I don't know. It's just different from the generation I was growing up, and I guess the generations before me. So, like, my main thing is, like, that's why I'm so adamant about being in my daughter's life, because I feel like these young women, from these young ladies, from the time they babies to young ladies to teenagers, that, I mean, I can't teach her how to be a woman, but it's just certain things that I can teach her that her mother can't teach her, that she has to learn from a man. You know what I'm saying? Because, my relationship with my daughter is going to affect her relationship with men for the rest of her life. So I kind of want to set the bar high as far as, the men that she has in her life.
Good answer.
I just had not a question, but a comment. I can see Kool-Aid working in a nonprofit.
Kool-Aid?
So he might be, whoever Kool-Aid is out there might be able to get a nonprofit job, be able to put a spin on that. But I definitely appreciate y'all taking the time to come in today and, have this discussion with us. And we're looking to share this audio, just put it on a bigger platform. We have a YouTube page, we have a website, we have a Facebook page.
Oh, y'all about to get it going.
Twitter. We're doing some things with CuriousSuccess.com. Hopefully that will be big and helpful to others, because what we pretty much really trying to do is bring these serious life, topics and issues to a wider audience. And no one's claiming to be an expert. I'm sure, like, I probably wasn't the best interviewer today, but regardless, I feel like we had a good discussion, and I feel like it could be useful.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you for having
So
us.
I definitely thank you all for your time.
Thank you for having us.
And hire Kool-Aid at some point.